knows the Preakness pretty well. He always makes time for us. We're very, very appreciative because he's the busiest guy in Baltimore this week. We welcome in Triple Crown winning and Justify training. Bob Baffert back in for a couple of days here in what has become, and you always couch it this way, Bob, your favorite trip of the year to make. You love you some Baltimore and some crab cakes, Bob Baffert.
I love Baltimore. It's been good to me. We've been very lucky there, but I just the people are so nice, and it's just a beautiful little city, and it's very, especially after the Derby, after all the tension, you get all that out of the way, and you go there, it's like my favorite leg because everybody's relaxed, chilled out, and you get to see the Derby winner train there, and it's like a lot, and there's a lot of excitement, and people in Pimlico, they're very excited about it.
It's fascinating because as a horse racing enthusiast, you go out, you put a ticket down. They always say, good luck, and you bring it back to luck, right? I mean, this time last year, you're checking in from California. You're not coming in for crab cakes. It really is about getting the right horse, and then everything has to go right. And I'll tip the cap to Dick Girardi, who gave me your horse back in February and said, watch out for Baffert's horse Justify, and here we are. But a lot of things have happened in the last 90, 120 days to put you into this position, including making it through that slop 2 weeks ago at Churchill.
Well, I mean, earlier in the year, it was like my horse was Mackenzie. I really thought that was my Derby horse, and this horse hadn't even started yet, and he was just coming around. And then he broke his maiden. Mackenzie got hurt, and so then, all the attention went to Justify. So it was almost like I tell people, I sort of compare it with Alabama. Their first half quarterback was Mackenzie, and then the second half quarterback came in there Justify to finish the deal. So, it's these horses. They're athletes. They're not machines, and it's so hard to go through all that and then to finally get them there. You start out with, every year 25,000 is a full crop, and you're looking for that one horse that's going to come through, that one horse to win the Kentucky Derby. I mean, the odds of that are stacked against you, and then to get one that good is, it's pretty remarkable.
Well, they write songs about it, right? I mean, I love the Fogelberg song as much as anything as far as the Run for the Roses. But then you come here, and in the case of Justify, this is a lightly run horse. I mean, how do you know when the horse is ready? And I guess you don't know, and certainly there's no way to know with all that's going on at Churchill on the first Saturday of May, and then the weather, on top of it, and the field and all of that. I mean, I had a sense that you felt pretty good about it, but you don't know. No one knows, and then the weather added on. It looked like it added stress for everybody when the weather's like that, right?
Yeah, well, anytime you have an off track, it can change the whole scope of the race. I mean, because you're talking about now, you cannot break poorly. If you break poorly, you're going to be stuck behind horses. You're going to get a lot of mud. And my horse he's very lightly raced horse, so that was his fourth out. And what he did, to do what he did in 75 days is pretty remarkable. I mean, not only was he breaking the Apollo curse of no horse has ever won the Derby after not running as a 2-year-old. That was added pressure there. But, we knew it was going to take a superior horse to pull off what he did. And he had to break really well. And Mike Smith just got him out of the gate, hustled him out of there. And then they were going really fast. I mean, they were going a little bit too fast for me. And so 22-1 is ridiculous. They do that going 6 furlongs. Then he goes 45-4. And it's like, wow, this horse he's got to be a super horse. And he keeps going. And so what we saw was a super horse, like American Pharoah. But American Pharoah, my biggest, most impressive Preakness win was American Pharoah when he won the Preakness.
Well, that rain came right there. I mean, it was like on cue. It was incredible.
He went 22. He was flying around there. He just kept going. He was loving it. And the faster they went, the more he loved it. And that's the way this horse is. You know, those great horses, they just do that. They just find, they dig deep and they find more speed, and they leave everybody in their wake. And it's just, and now he's coming to Baltimore, and so, you know, hopefully he still needs to get that clean break. He needs to get a clean break. Now he's got a smaller field. He's got a big target on the back. So now he's, you know, they're watching him really close now. So, you know, when he was, so instead of the hunter, he's a hunted now. So, and that makes it, you know, it's good. And you got the Breeders' Cup champion. He's coming back to ran second. He's a very good Magic, very good horse. And there's some new shooters. John Service has got a horse in there that's really, really nice colt that's coming up. And so it's going to be exciting, but I'm looking forward to those crab cakes.
We'll get you to Michael's Cafe. Bob Baffert joining us here, as he's been doing for 2 decades. All of our programming brought to you by Michael's Cafe. We had Barry Trotz out, and good luck to the Caps this week. We're going to be watching them and hope that we don't have a Game 5 on Saturday night, but time will tell there. Also brought to you by our friends at Royal Farms. Real fresh, real fast, and the tasty Kona blend here that you can only get in these part of the world, and the fries, the Western fries, and the fried chicken. Make sure you're using the app at Royal Farms. Bob, you mentioned American Pharoah, and you saved me from bringing it up and say, well, Bob, you know, compare this horse to the other horses you've had, or Silver Charm, or Real Quiet, or Point Given, or any of these other horses. But the Pharoah comparison, there's nothing to compare it to other this side of Secretariat or whatever it would be at this point in our lifetimes. And now you have another horse that I guess for however long we take until we get the post this week, and if you're lucky, as you point out, you'll then have 3 more weeks to go up to New York and sing the song. But how are these horses alike or different, and how do you know it? Because there's so many cards from you to draw on, you know, thousands of horses and really hundreds of really good horses, and then a couple of dozen really special horses that I'm sure you felt that way about Real Quiet or Point Given or any of those horses a generation ago. But now you have this other thing to compare it to that is something that even you have admitted to me was sort of otherworldly a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been really, you know, I really, you know, those are all really good horses you mentioned, and Point Given comes to mind. Well, I thought was going to be my Triple Crown winner because he had all the, you know, he had the right stuff for it, and he laid a big egg in the Derby, and that's the race that sort of got away from me. Came back, won the Preakness, and then won the Belmont by 12. But there's been so many good horses, just, you know, go for the Triple Crown that should have been Triple Crown winners, but something always happened. And every year that I went to Preakness in the barn area, if you're in the barn area, you'll look, there's a bench there where the benches are, and it's the name of the Triple Crown winners. And every year I'd look at those names and go, I get more respect for those horses because they must have just been the superior horses to do this, to pull it off. And that's what it takes. You need to have not only a superior horse, but he's got to be a tough horse. He's got to be able to handle it, get stronger, and get better. And that's what American Pharoah, I mean, he'll go down as the all-time greats. For him to win the Triple Crown, then win the Breeders' Cup Classic, I mean, that's just, and they had to make up names like they called it, I don't know what they called it, the Grand Slam, whatever. It sounded like a breakfast, but I don't know what to call it. But it was just they're unique. Those horses are unique. And then I came with Arrogate. Unfortunately, he didn't get to run in the Classic. You know, if I would have gotten him, leaned on him a little bit earlier, you know, he probably could have made the Belmont, but he would have showed his stuff there. But you know, then to have a horse like Justify, this big, beautiful chestnut horse that, you know, just fast. He's fast on fast. He's just brilliant speed. I mean, one thing about him and American Pharoah, they could have won the Breeders' Cup Sprint and then the Classic. That's how the great ones, they can do that.
You know, I think I asked you about this the last time we saw each other, which I think was, you know, a Super Bowl or 3 ago. I don't remember. It might have been the 16 Super Bowl after 15, so I guess it was 2 years ago. And I had you on over the phone last year because you weren't involved here in Baltimore. But are you proud of how you handled that whole thing? I mean, you must be, because Dude, you gave that horse to the people as much as you can give an animal with that sort of value to have that horse go out and run around and be beloved in the way it was. That we will, it's the Secretariat for our generation, and until that happens, and I think that's why people come out to touch Justify this week, because you never know. I mean, I got on buses going up to Belmont for Smarty Jones, for Funny Side, for all of those horses, Big Brown, and it never happens, sometimes by a nose or this or that. But then what happens in the aftermath? And look, Bob, I've been on the air since '92, so every Preakness, sometimes you're in, sometimes it's Zito or D. Wayne who has the better horse or wherever it is. Through the course of all of this, we all wondered what would happen when it happened, or if it would ever happen, quite frankly, where 15 years you and everybody else tried to pull it off and couldn't do it. For the last 15 years where you had two, but you had to get to Belmont. And the way you handled all of it in the aftermath, did you have some thought in your mind that if it ever happened, this is the way I want it to go down and I want it to be for this horse? And I know you take on the industry to some degree on your shoulders because you're the guy out in front. And, for that I always tip my cap because the horses don't talk,
Well, I mean, I've been through it so many times. You sort of, the first couple of times I went through it, I came out of it, I just was physically and mentally, emotionally, just exhausted because you talk to everybody and you can't do it. You have to just pick your spots because you wear yourself out. I mean, you lose your voice, you're worn out, and then you still have to stay focused. So I just I'm very I don't do too much radio. I mean, guys that I've known forever, I just we do it and.
Appreciate you, man. I really do.
So I just, I always forget the guy. I never forget the guys that were there for me when I was just trying to get going and stuff like that. So but I enjoy it. But the thing about American Pharoah, he had a beautiful mind. He loved human contact, so I could share him like that. This horse, he's not that way, but he's just, he'll like you for about 3 seconds, and then he wants nothing to do with you. But that's just the way. That's his personality, Well,
so, I have a cat. So I mean, we had two different cats. So I mean, you've had thousands of horses. Reading the personality is probably one of your gifts that no one else has. Maybe Jimmy Barnes has that a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, so. But I mean, Pharoah was a sweetheart. He's still a sweetheart. Matter of fact, today I went and saw his mother for the first time ever at a farm, and I saw his sister. I know he had a brother, half-brother by Tappet, beautiful. And I have a sister by Tappet I'm going to train that's really nice. But the mother is the sweetest thing you've ever seen. I mean, a sweetheart. Now I know where his disposition comes from.
Well, you love horses. You love them all, even the feisty ones, if they can get you into the winner's circle, right? They're not all friendly, right?
Well, I mean, they're competitive. They're like football players. They're just very competitive, and they're aggressive, and they have to be aggressive because when the gate comes open, if they're the good ones are horses that if they would have been out in the field with a bunch of mares, Justified, American Pharoah, they'd be leading the mares would be following them because they just have that. They have it, they know they're great. They know they're superior. So they're pretty smart animals.
Bob Baffert is our guest. He's bringing Justify to Old Hilltop this weekend at High Ho Pimlico. Looking for another Preakness win here. I want to give you a chance to talk about Jimmy Barnes a little bit because I haven't, I've never asked you about that, and certainly, has been everywhere there is to go. And behind every Baffert, how many people work for you, Bob? I mean, getting all of these horses, not just the ones we hear about, here on Preakness weekend ready. But I mean, it's a hell of an operation. And you have to have great people around you, right?
Yeah, because we have usually keep I have 100 horses. I keep 50 at Sandy and another 50 at Los Alamitos. And so we go back and forth. But I got a tremendous staff. the guy Mike Marlowe who gets him ready at Los Alamitos. He worked for Wayne Lucas for many years, and so he went to the best university. The Wayne Lucas University is like the best. You know, got Todd Fletcher, Tim, all these guys. He put him out, and Jimmy Barnes. He's been with me for 20 years now, and he's just a great guy. And he has the passion. He's competitive. Oh, he hates to lose. I mean, he's so competitive, and I just love that about him. He's a good man, and he's just, you know, we're just like a brother to me, and so we have fun together. You know, when we win, it's just him and I win. You know, so it's not like it's a fun. You know, we like to go in there, and you know, there's nothing worse than going in there and you're not competitive. You know, every time we go somewhere, I'll send them somewhere, and they weren't competitive. He says, "Man, don't do that to me again. Don't send me up there with a glass half filled." I mean, you gotta. But so we have a great relationship, working relationship, and it just it makes it easier for me because I have a lot of things I have to worry about. You know, and so got a lot of, just like right now, you know, you have to focus on the other horses that are having training because, you know, the last thing you don't want your owners to think you've abandoned their horses back in California because of this, you know, so.
Well, you're built for a marathon here, though, right? I mean, the next 4 weeks, if this horse comes in here and does what you want it to do, you know this pathway, but it is, you know, you got to be physically ready, and we all know you had, you know, some health issues a few years ago and feeling good about, you know, being good again, right? But this is, it's like running for president the next month, right?
I know how to pay. I pace myself pretty well. I pace myself.
Bob, always a pleasure to have you on, and it's always a lot more fun when you're coming to town for the race and eating crab cakes and bringing a beautiful horse in here. I know it's going to be a great race. My wife's already picked out a lovely hat for Saturday. I've got 2 crab cakes with your name on it, and I do always appreciate you taking a little time and coming on with us. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me.
Great gratitude. Bob Baffert, he's got Justify on Saturday coming to Old Hilltop. We're going to run the Preakness on Saturday. We got the Pink Festival on Friday, the Black-Eyed Susan, all of that good stuff. And it remains to be seen if Bob Baffert can march on to Belmont with Mike Smith and with Justify. We got the Good Magic in now at 7-2. Bravazzo and Sporting Chance at D. Wayne Lucas, the Tessio winner Diamond King, as well as Quip Tenfold, Lone Sailor. All of the entries, all that good stuff up on the front of WNST.net and all the entries for Pimlico there, as well as in our morning newspaper each and every morning. That comes to you courtesy of our friends at Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. Tons of horse racing coverage here. Nothing quite as good as having Bob Baffert on, I should say, but all of it in the BuyAToyota.com audio vault if you're getting ready for the race on Saturday. Want some storytelling, which I think is a big part of horse racing that sucks me in every year on NBC because they do such a great job, and I'll be talking about that and you know, complimenting them because I do think the Derby coverage is phenomenal. The Preakness, it's almost like the Preakness that you want to sit home and watch it on TV because it's so good. But I got to get out there. My wife's got a hat. We're looking forward to it. Obviously, the Caps this week. Lots going on. And big gratitude for Bob Baffert always making time for us. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, and streaming live right here on our YouTube and WNSTV channel. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports.